With the need to produce as much as possible to satisfy demand, the equipment use on farms is increasingly becoming supersized. From huge tractors, muck spreaders, and harvesters, these are the 15 biggest farming machines ever made. Number 15. Big Bud 747. Of all the different machines used on a farm, the one that's most commonly seen, and that can be used for the widest range of purposes, is a tractor. They come in various different shapes and sizes depending on the needs of the farm, but the biggest tractor to have ever been built is called the Big Bud 747. There are very few farms in the world that could make use of such a giant machine. It's 14 feet tall, 27 feet long, 13 feet wide, and weighs up to 68 tons. It has 8 wheels, each of which is 8 feet in diameter and custom made, and it has a Detroit diesel 16-cylinder 2-cycle engine. Producing around 1,100 horsepower, it's more than twice as powerful as most other tractors. It was built in 1977 for a cotton farmer in Bakersfield, California, where it was used for deep ripping. It's changed hands several times since then, and at one point it was used to pull an 80-foot cultivator, which was able to cover 1.3 acres of land every minute. It's still in use even after 43 years, and it's owned by a farm in Montana, which is less than 60 miles away from where it was built. It's now tasked with pulling an 80-foot chisel plow behind it, and it's one of the only vehicles in the world capable of doing so. While it may be impressive and allows the work to be done so much quicker than would otherwise be possible, it uses so much fuel in the process that it's not economically viable to build new versions for use on other farms. Number 14. Daman 3200 Sprayer. Once the crops on the farm have begun to grow, it's important to keep supplying them with the nutrients they need to give the greatest yield possible. This requires the use of a sprayer, which delivers nutritious liquid to the ground that it passes over. But this can be a laborious and time-consuming process, especially if you have acres upon acres of land to treat. One of the biggest sprayers available is the Daman 3200. This 25-ton vehicle is able to carry up to 13 tons of liquid and has a huge working width of just under 120 feet. Combine this with a maximum speed of 25 miles an hour and it's able to cover a huge area in very little time. It's also one of the most technologically advanced sprayers on the market and provides the operator with all the statistics they need to be as efficient as possible. This includes the ability to input the ground and crop type to adjust how much liquid is being sprayed, and data to show how much liquid is being delivered to each square foot of land. To make things even more reliable, it's a self-propelled sprayer, which means that the action of it moving forwards also pumps the liquid through the nozzles, and it reduces the need for extra machinery that could potentially fail and need to be repaired. Number 13. PMC Potato Harvester. As you know, different crops grow in different ways and can require different machines to harvest them effectively. One of the trickiest things to remove by machine are potatoes, because they grow beneath the surface of the ground, and one of the biggest machines designed specifically for this purpose is the PMC Potato Harvester. It's actually available in 2 different versions, one that has 3 rows and one that has 4. The 4-row version weighs 29.5 tons when it's empty, but after a few hours of harvesting, its storage container can hold up to 12 tons of produce. It's one of the largest hoppers of any vehicle like this, and also comes with a filling belt with an automatic drop height control to ensure the potatoes aren't damaged as they're deposited. The potato harvester has a fully hydrostatic transmission, with the ability to steer the front and rear axles. This means that it's highly maneuverable, even in tough conditions, and allows for more time to be spent harvesting crops instead of turning and positioning it. It can also be used to harvest other root vegetables like carrots, which means it's an absolute necessity on farms where the majority of crops they grow are underground. Number 12. Vredo Slurry Tanker. To be as economical as possible, farmers try to use all the waste products elsewhere to help produce more crops and reduce the amount that's thrown away. This includes the slurry from livestock, which instead of going down a drain, can be used to fertilize the soil or crops. This isn't as simple as adding it to a normal sprayer though, because the solid matter can clog up the systems, so the best bet is to use a specialized slurry tanker. The biggest ones are made by a German company called Vredo, which has been developing farm machines like this for more than 65 years. The 3-axle variant of the VT5518 has an 8,500-gallon capacity tank and can essentially take a full trailer truckload all at once. Crucially, at the front of the tank there's a pump slicer that makes sure the solid parts of the slurry are either chopped or separated from the liquid slurry. This prevents it from damaging the pump or causing blockages in the spreading hoses. Powered by an 8-cylinder engine, the slurry tanker has a top speed of just over 30 miles an hour and features a hydraulic system that keeps the tank held in the required position. The pumps give a maximum flow-through of 69 gallons per minute and can empty the entire tank in around 2 hours. Number 11. Class Lexion 8900. Class Lexion is one of the world's leading farm equipment manufacturers, and as of 2020, they produced the largest model of combine harvester that's commercially available. Known as the 8900, it's significantly bigger than those of any competitors, and is the flagship design of their 8000 series. With a weight of over 24 tons, it has a huge grain tank with a 4,700-gallon capacity that can be unloaded in an equally impressive 100 seconds. The powerful 16.2-liter MAN 6-cylinder engine produces 790 horsepower. Not only can it cover a large area more quickly than other combines with the 40-foot Vario header, but it also does it more efficiently. That's because this model features Class Lexion's new threshing system, which is called APS Synflow Hybrid. This threshes a higher percentage of the grain in the 6-foot wide drum, so in theory collects a larger amount of usable grain from the same sized area. Despite being only released in 2019, it's already become a firm favorite on farms. It's bigger than the previous iteration, but it's far more fuel efficient. It's almost 25% more powerful, and the sample it collects is much cleaner than has been possible before. In fact, the new threshing system is so good that even when it's on the setting that prioritizes throughput, the quality it produces is about the same as the best possible on other models. Number 10. Versatile Delta Truck 610 DT. You normally think of tractors as having large wheels that can traverse virtually any terrain, but there's an alternative design, ones that run on Caterpillar tracks in a similar way to tanks. Recently, Versatile, a Canadian equipment manufacturer, announced the latest in their line of Delta trucks. Called the 610 DT, it's by far the largest tractor the company has to offer and is one of the biggest vehicles of its type in the world. Powered by a 15-liter Cummins engine along with a Caterpillar power shaft transmission, it's able to produce in excess of 600 horsepower. According to the company, it offers 15% more pulling power than the previous model, and to accommodate this extra strength, a further set of brake discs had to be incorporated into the design at the rear. The cab is suspended above the main body of the tractor, so the operator can keep in comfort no matter the task being performed. And to make things much easier to manage, the entire vehicle is controlled via a touchscreen interface. At almost 27 feet long, 11.5 feet wide, and almost 13 feet high, and weighing 31.5 tons, the 610 DT is an absolute monster, and it's no surprise they're increasingly being seen on large farms around the world. Number 9. Hollmer T440 Beet Harvester. Sugar beet harvesters are specifically designed to lift large quantities of beets from soil, something that would otherwise be an extremely time-consuming process if done by hand. Lifting shears are used to take them out of the ground, and then they're passed over cleaning rollers to separate them from the soil before being deposited into the holding tank. When it's time, vast fields containing beets have to be harvested, so to help this happen as quickly as possible, Hollmer developed a huge beet harvesting machine called the T440. Cleverly, this 3-axle vehicle has a modular design, so farmers can customize it to their precise needs. The basic version has a 626 horsepower Mercedes engine, extra-wide elevator conveyors, so the throughput is vastly increased in comparison to other models, independently powered axles so it can be precisely driven over slanted fields, and an intuitive control system that takes just a few minutes to learn. Furthermore, it's made from high-strength steel and has an almost 12,000-gallon capacity tank that can be gently emptied within just 50 seconds. Despite being much larger than other beet harvesters, extra effort has been focused on reducing the weight of the T440. Amazingly, it's actually 3 tons lighter than its predecessor, something that's important both for fuel economy, and so the disruption to the soil is minimal. Number 8. Vedestad Seedhawk 1300. There was a time when, to plant the seeds for next year's crop, farmers had to plow the fields, then sow the seeds by hand. Over the decades, new devices have been designed to help with this process, and this culminated recently with the announcement of the Seedhawk 1300, the world's largest seed drilling machine. It weighs almost 20 tons, is just under 50 feet long, and amazingly, its cart can hold up to almost 1,600 cubic feet of seeds and fertilizer. It's separated into 4 compartments of differing sizes to allow different seeds and supplements to be kept apart from each other. And it's been designed so it can be completely filled within 15 minutes. The Seedhawk has an 82-foot wide drill, which means that it's able to drill an estimated 61 hectares on just one fill. based on delivering 265 pounds of seed and 660 pounds of fertilizer per hectare. It's targeted at giant farms like the ones found in the US, Russia, Canada, and Australia, and the manufacturers claim that tests have shown its direct drilling method is just as effective as conventional drilling. It's particularly useful on land where there's very little moisture in the soil, and can even increase yields if used in the right way. Number 7. Balzer's Field Floater. When it comes to harvest time, one of the most time-consuming processes come from when your storage vehicle is full to the brim and needs to be emptied before you can continue harvesting crops. One solution to this is that you can just have 2 carts that swap places when one is full, or alternatively, you can just have a huge cart in the first place. Known as field floaters because they follow a combine in the field, the largest one in use is called the Balzer Field Floater 6. It has a maximum capacity of 2,200 bushels, which is enough to fill 2 semi-trucks. It's not enough to simply carry a huge load, though, and Balzer has fitted this machine with a number of useful features to make it the most effective one that can be used on a farm, too. It has hydraulic suspension, joystick controls, an inbuilt scale to measure how much it contains, and a steerable axle system that ensures it's following the exact route needed. Furthermore, it has a 24-inch diameter unload auger system, which means it can unload at a speed of up to 1,090 bushels per minute, allowing it to be completely emptied within just over 2 minutes. Number 6. JCB 4X15 Super. One of the most useful machines on a farm that you'll also commonly see on building sites is a backhoe loader. They look like tractors with a shovel or bucket attachment on the front, and a backhoe excavator on the back that can be used to do a wide variety of jobs, from digging and preparing the land to pulling heavy trailers and equipment. Currently, the biggest backhoe loader of them all is the JCB 4CX15 Super, which is an astonishing machine. Powered by an EcoMax engine that generates 109 horsepower, it can even be adapted to run on lower-grade fuels like red diesel. It can dig to depths of just over 20 feet with its 15-foot extending dipper, which has a 24-inch excavator bucket with teeth, and has 4 equal-sized tires which give a higher ground clearance and traction than other models. The 4-wheel drive vehicle is controlled by a joystick from the cab, which itself is fitted with AC and heating, so the operator is comfortable no matter the conditions. And a digital display shows live telemetry of the power output and work that's being done. It's definitely not a machine you'll see on every farm, but those that are large enough will usually have one of these to help with the heaviest jobs in place of a multi-purpose tractor. Number 5. Claas Lexion 780 TerraTrak. Claas Lexion has been one of the industry leaders for combine harvesters for decades, and the model that's seen as the benchmark that others are striving to match or improve upon is the 780 TerraTrak. Over 10 years in the making, it has a Stage 3B Mercedes engine that generates 625 horsepower. It's also one of the most environmentally friendly power plants that actively controls the emissions that it releases. It also features a number of other new technologies to prevent waste, such as variable fan drive that only provides as much cooling as the engine actually needs, and is said to save 20 horsepower in the process. And the cooling pack that lies horizontally behind the engine instead of vertically to give room for a larger fan. To give extra traction, the 780's rear wheels are almost 6 feet in diameter, and this means that the axle has had to be suspended at 4 different points to ensure that the tires don't get caught in the combine's body when turning. In many ways, this combine does the work itself and hardly needs an operator to be on board. There are sensors throughout the machine that also survey the surrounding area, so all the driver needs to do is lift up and lower at each end of the pass. Unload when necessary, and otherwise it's simply a case of choosing a few options, then pressing the laser pilot button, and the combine will take care of the rest. Number 4. Case IH Steiger QuadTrak. Based in North Dakota, Case IH makes a line of large tractors, one of which currently holds the world record for plowing after covering 321 hectares in just 24 hours. That model, the STX 500, set the record in 2007, but has now been superseded by an even larger one called the 620. With a weight of 24.4 tons, its Fiat Cursor 13-liter 6-cylinder engine can generate in excess of 620 horsepower, with some tests showing it to rise as much as 682. It has a 16-speed power shift transmission, 2 reverse gears, and has been designed to be able to pull virtually any piece of farm equipment that's commonly used. It has a top speed of 18.7 miles per hour, but can do 9.1 miles per hour in reverse. But as you'd expect, a tractor is a huge machine to incorporate all this power. It's 25 feet long, almost 10 feet wide, and just under 13 feet high, and the latest version, released in 2020, has a range of impressive technological upgrades. It has, for example, GPS monitoring that can be controlled from either in the cab or elsewhere, and allows the exact route and operations to be planned in advance. Despite there being a comfortable cab with touchscreen controls on the tractor, there doesn't actually need to be anyone physically present for it to operate. And it can be just as easily controlled from the comfort of the farmhouse. It's no wonder then that it's becoming a favorite workhorse of medium to large farms around the world, and is leading the way in development of a whole new range of automated farm machinery. Number 3. Hydroponics. You wouldn't normally consider an entire farm to be a machine in its own right, but a new venture between Emirates Airlines and an American company called Crop One Holdings isn't your typical farm. Both invested $40 million to develop and build the world's largest hydroponic farm, and it's only the futuristic technology that makes something like this possible. Built in a 130,000 square foot facility, it's said to be the equivalent of growing crops on 900 acres of land. The intent is for the farm to provide all of the vegetables that the meals on flights from Dubai Airport require, and that it'll produce 5.3 tons of greens every day. Amazingly, according to Crop One, the system will grow the same volume of crops with just 320 gallons of water and 100 square feet of land that would be grown by traditional techniques, with 250,000 gallons of water on almost 1 million square feet of land. The farm itself is made up of a series of containers, each of which is being constantly monitored and individually treated differently to maximize yield. The containers automatically move around to alter the airflow. Lighting ensures the plants can photosynthesize as much as possible, and they're even automatically harvested. The system assesses more than 500,000 data points to be as efficient as possible. And it's quite possible that, as long as it becomes cheaper to set up in the first place, this style of farm will be commonplace in the future. Number 2. The Vogel Baler. When it comes to the latter stages of the year, farms are able to salvage any crops that are left over to preserve whatever nutrition remains. Historically, this was always done by cutting it and rolling it into bales, and these are usually used as food for livestock during the winter months. In modern times, machines have been designed to do the work, but with larger and larger farms, demand for even bigger hay baling machines has increased. The largest of all was designed by TJ Steel and built by Vogel Engineering. This isn't a commercial machine available to any farm, but a one-off creation mainly because the bales it creates are simply too big for normal use. According to reports, they measure 9 feet by 9 feet and weigh as much as 5,600 pounds, by far the largest machine-made bales in the world. While most balers try to produce standardized size bales more quickly so larger areas can be covered in a shorter time, this one collects far more in one go than other designs, so it can get the job finished much quicker. The only problem is that it needs investment into further machinery that can handle the larger bales and larger storage areas to keep them in. Number 1. Fendt Ideal 10. The largest farms are continually looking for bigger machines to cover their land quicker, and almost every year a new model of combine is revealed that eclipses those that have come before it. First announced in 2019 and planned to be in operation for the 2021 harvest, the newest record breaker is the Fendt Ideal 10. It's an enormous machine at 35 feet long, 11.5 feet wide, and 13 feet tall, and that's without loading any of the attachments. It's fitted with a MAN 16.2-liter engine, which produces up to 790 horsepower, and has a turbocharger to ensure it reliably maintains this output. It has state-of-the-art technology on board to ensure as much grain is extracted from the crop as possible, which includes the use of a fan to keep the intake area clean of debris, and a rotor called the Dual Helix that catches, threshes, separates, and discharges the crop in one smooth motion. One of the biggest selling points of this model, apart from the way it can cover a large area much quicker than any other, is the control it gives to the person operating it. The cab has been designed to give them a full view over the field ahead of them, and instead of steering with a wheel, all controls are inputted by using a joystick. It's proof that farming machines continue to get even bigger. Based on the Ideal 10, you can only imagine what the new designs of combines will look like in just 5 or 10 years' time.